what I would like to clearly say that this COVID is an evolving field. We do not know which drug is working, which drug is not working. That is, it's a lot of drugs are being repurposed for the use of COVID, whether it be for prophylaxis or for the treatment of COVID. Now we all know that chloroquine is a very old anti-malarial drug for several, it's been in use for nearly 100 years. And the hydroxychloroquine is even safer. And if I do not know, I belong to the generation when we had inland letter cards जो होते थे जिसमें चिट्ठी लिखते थे उसमें गोले बने रहते थे मलेरिया की गोली 4 पहले दिन फिर 2 दूसरे दिन 2 तीसरे दिन वो बना रहता था. So it was widely used drug for malaria and it still is a widely used drug for malaria. So now the biological plausibility was supporting that it is possibly an antiviral drug. Once we got the biological plausibility, and we also felt that we had conducted some in-vitro studies in labs in the test tube, and there was data supporting that also. So in-vitro studies were conducted in the past and published in several papers in Nature and other magazines that you know of, which showed that it has antiviral activity. We did a similar study in vitro, that is in the test tube, and found that it is an antiviral drug. It has antiviral properties. Now it was very popular drug suddenly when the American government also started using it, and they got fast track approval or emergency use authorization for. We had thought that it may be a useful drug for prophylaxis, for prevention of COVID, and taking the biological plausibility one, taking the in vitro data, and taking the availability and the safety of this drug, we had recommended it for as empiric use under strict medical supervision about a month and a half back. And then we also said that some studies should be started to look at where is hydroxychloroquine performing. During these 6 weeks or 5.5 or 4.5, 5, 6 weeks, we got some data in India, and they were mainly observational studies. Some of them were case control studies, which and some of us were observational studies in different cohorts, which were done at AIMS, was done at ICMR, the case control study, and also in 3 public hospitals within Delhi. And now it was very difficult to do a randomized trial of something which we say may benefit. So randomized trial was not possible. So we looked at the data from these observational studies as well as from the case control studies, and what we found that it may be working. So therefore, and we also found that there were no major side effects except nausea, and that was from the Indian Pharmacopoeia Commission results of all the people that were being monitored for hydroxychloroquine. And therefore we found that much of them were complaining of nausea or vomiting and some palpitations occasionally. So we जो एडवाइजरी अब 18 मई वाली अब परसों वाली हमारी कह रहे हैं, उसमें हम लोगों ने क्लियरली ये लिखा है फॉर प्रोफिलैक्सिस, एक तो इट शुड बी कंटिन्यूड because there is no harm, benefit may be there. One point. The second point was important was that we found that the side effects, and we clearly advised that it should be taken with food. So nausea, vomiting जो हो रहा है वो खाली पेट खाते हैं तो दिक्कत होती है. So it has to be taken with food. That is one very important thing. The third point which we emphasized in this advisory was very clear that we need to do one ECG during the treatment of this prophylaxis. So we expanded the recommendation from healthcare workers to frontline workers who can use this drug, 2 tablets on day 1 and then 1 tablet after 7 days, every 7 days, 400 milligram, which is 2 tablets every 7 days for 8 weeks. And we can also continue beyond it once we have one ECG available that it is safe. So this was the advisory which we have given. Based on looking at the risk benefit, we found that possibly it is more that we should not deny our frontline workers and healthcare workers who are going to be dealing with the patients of COVID and can get some treatment. At the same time, we also said that the use of PPE should be continued, personal protective. उसमें हम लोग को बिल्कुल भी राहत नहीं है, मतलब that has to be continued. And the study which will be published very soon will also talk about how many were taking PPEs, how many were, what were the side effects, how many were beneficial, and that is how we'll talk about that.